In this video, you'll see 19 clever tips for how to remove tile. So if you want to learn how to remove ceramic tile or remove a tile floor, I'll have you covered, and I really think that a lot of these tips will help you out. And make sure you stick around until the end because I've got some really great bonus tips. The first tip I have for you is to remove the baseboards, and you want to start by scoring any kind of silicone that's holding the baseboard to the wall. Then I recommend using the Zenith trim puller. This is an awesome tool. They're actually sponsoring this video, so many thanks to them. But the reason why I like it is because it actually helps you preserve your baseboards. So whether you're doing this for tile or you're doing it for carpet, you shove the trim puller behind the baseboard and the wall, or you can actually pull up on it and you'll be able to preserve the baseboard and use it again if you want. I'm not doing that in this bathroom. But the trim puller is awesome because it also helps prevent damage to the walls. I also recommend removing any of the nails because, as you'll see here, somebody accidentally put a finish nail through my vent, which is never good, so I have to fix that, and maybe in a future video I'll show you how to do it. Tile floor removal is inherently a little bit dangerous, so I do recommend wearing a silica dust respirator and gloves, because when you're doing this you're going to be on your hands and your knees, and so I also recommend wearing some knee pads and some hearing protection. But before you dive into the tile floor removal, make sure you do a few additional things. For example, you want to seal off any of the ductwork. I'm just using duct tape and going over top of this register. Now, I'm actually not keeping the register, so I'm going to pull it, and if you're doing the same thing, you can seal the ductwork with a sponge and some rags. It's really important not to get dust into the ductwork. Then I pulled the cover off my closet flange, and I also put a rag down in there. No matter how you do it, tile floor removal is always a bit dirty, so I sealed off the room where my respirator, my hearing protection, and I just started smashing the tile with a hammer. This is the most basic approach. It's not that expensive, and most people do have hammers. Now, the deal with the hammer method is it is going to produce a lot of dust in the room. You can also try to pry up underneath the tile and pull it off of the backer board, or pull the backer board and the tile off of the substrate. Typically, you're working with a wood subfloor or a concrete subfloor, and the backer board is adhered to it using a thin set mortar. I'll get into that a little bit later on in this video because that's obviously what you might run into. As you can see, removing this tile is a bit difficult, and one of the biggest tips I have for you is when you're smashing it, always take the small pieces and move them to the side, because if you have small pieces on top of the tile, those are going to bounce back up as you strike the tile and hit you in the face, and tile is sharp, so I definitely recommend that you don't have pieces of tile on top of the tile you're going to be removing. So I'm just removing each tile one at a time. The other tip I have for you is put a contractor's bag into a brute garbage can, and then as you're removing the tile and the backer board, you can shovel all the pieces into the garbage can. This will keep this space nice and neat. Here I'm trying to remove the backer board off of the wood subfloor using a 36-inch pry bar. Obviously, the more leverage you get, the easier this is going to be, so try to get the biggest pry bar that you can. 36-inch pry bar works well for me typically, so I highly recommend it, and it's not very expensive, so it's an easy tool to pick up at the home store. I'm just trying to wedge it up underneath the backer board and between the subfloor. The other big tip I have for you is to remove screws and or nails from the backer board before you throw the backer board into the contractor's bag. And the reason why is you don't want screws or nails in the bag. I'll explain why a little bit later. I then remove all of the screws and the nails off of the subfloor, and I put those into a plastic bottle. And the reason why I do that is because I don't want them to go through my boot or into a tire. When removing tile around a closet flange that your toilet sits on, be really careful because you don't want to smash the closet flange with your hammer. This will have to lead to a repair, and nobody wants to have any additional repairs when they're removing a tile floor. So when you're smashing the tile around the closet flange, just pay attention, be patient, and be careful not to hit the flange and damage it. If you have a tub in your bathroom, there are a few additional tips. For example, try to seal up the drain. I'm not keeping this tub, but I definitely don't want any scraps of tile to go down into my P-trap. The other thing is you'll want to score any kind of silicone that's sealing the tile to the tub. This is going to relieve release the tile from the tub when you smack it. So you can see here I'm smashing the tile and all the tiles are being released from the tub. That way I don't have to worry about damaging the tub if I chose to keep it. But again, I removed that. The other thing that I did was remove the backer board after the tile. So if your tile is really hard to remove the tile first, then you can tackle the backer board after that. Backer board is heavy, tile is heavy, so if you remove one layer at a time, this is going to be a much easier process for you. That being said, sometimes the backer board is adhered to the floor using thin set mortar, so just be prepared for that if it's the case, because that can be a real pain. I lucked out in this case because I don't know what they used, but it wasn't very strong, so I was able to easily, for the most part, remove the backer board from the subfloor without too much effort. The next step after removing all the cement board was to remove the nails or the screws using a 36-inch pry bar instead of the hammer. So I also have a lot of thin set on this floor, but I'm not going to remove that in this bathroom because I had to remove all the subfloor to tackle a different issue. So I removed the subflooring and I noticed that all of the copper pipes were exhibiting potential pinhole leak problems. As you can see, these green spots are on the pipe and that represents areas where the pipe will potentially leak. Now here's a bonus tip for you. If you're keeping your subfloor and you want to remove the mortar, you can dampen the subfloor with a sponge and use a grinder and a special blade for removing thin set to remove all of that residue off the top of the plywood. This is a very easy and efficient way to do it. It can be dusty, so just make sure that you use a sponge to dampen the subfloor first. If you like the tips on how to remove a tile floor, give this video a thumbs up. Obviously, this is the first step in doing a bathroom remodel, so if you're doing that, make sure you check out our other videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.